My name's Tom and I'm a fan of the great outdoors, and today I'll be taking you on a walk which in my opinion is one of the best walks in the UK, and that's from Corfe Castle to Swanage on the Isle of Purbeck in Dorset. Enjoy! I managed to find a nice parking space which was free up a country lane right by the pathway, so I wasn't restricted to any time, because that's the last thing you need when you're on a long hike, is to worry about parking. I'd only been walking about 10 minutes and I was already rewarded with fantastic views of Corfe Castle and the surrounding area. The Purbeck Hills, or the Purbeck Ridge, runs from Lulworth, or Lulworth Cove, in an easterly direction and finishes at Old Harry Rocks, which drop down into Purbeck Bay. At their highest point they rise about 600 feet above sea level, which is the area between Corfe Castle and Swanage, the bit of the walk I'll be walking on today. Bit of a shame it's an overcast day today, because when it's sunny and clear you can see like miles to the north of here, where you can see Cranbourne Chase, which is a range of hills and downland, and today you can barely, well, probably see about 15-20 miles max, which is a shame. Hello. I was lucky in a way because there wasn't a great deal of wind, but it was freezing cold and overcast instead, so it's a typical late February day. Just by looking at the trees on top of the ridge you could tell which direction the wind was actually blowing and the type of weather you usually get up here. Well, just ahead of me is the highest part of the ridge. It's about 600 feet above sea level, and this is probably where I'm going to send the drone up to get better shots of the area, because I'm pretty sure it'll be unrestricted views from up there. I mean, this side of me is some quite high hedging, so it's stopping me from getting the panoramic views, but as soon as I get up into this high bit of ridge in front of me, I'll probably have a break up there and then send the drone up. Time for a well-earned break, I'd say. Starving. There's just so many nice places along this walk where you can stop and have a picnic and admire the views. I mean, it's both sides, panoramic. some point way back there I just trailed off the main path. I must have just found a cattle trail, and I got to the end of this field and it was all barbed wire. So I'm trying to make my way back over this fence here to get back onto the trail. I must have drifted off into my own little world. The views of Poole Harbour seem to improve the closer you get to Old Harry Rocks. I don't know whether you can see just behind me is the last ridge of this walk. Now the final ridge sort of runs down to Old Harry Rocks and onto the headland, and that's where the Purbeck Hills drop into the English Channel. This part of the walk takes you into a valley where you cross a road running between Studland and Swanage, and then the pathway sort of runs along the side of the ridge to a point where you then suddenly ascend back onto the ridge again. Going to take on a bit of water before I start this ascent up this ridge now, because this is the last climb, and then after that you just walk along the top for a couple of miles and then you start to descend down onto the beach. This has to be the most steepest part of the entire walk, but it was short-lived because the views at the top were fantastic. The weather briefly improved as I started to ascend down into the Bay of Swanage. It was a nice bit of sunlight shining off the water that gave that slight early spring look. It's nice, I've just gone over the brow of the hill and we're sort of gently descending down into Swanage now. It's nice hearing the sea. As soon as we came off the top, start hearing the sea. There was no wind. There was a little bit anyway, but yeah, and the sea's really calm today. Even though it was a midweek day, I was still surprised how quiet the pathway was heading down from the top. Normally this pathway joins up with the Purbeck Way and is quite busy, especially at the weekends. The walk along Swanage beach was my favourite part of the day. I had the beach to myself, just the sound of the seagulls and the waves. Just a short while onwards, I was able to access the promenade, which marked the last leg of the walk into Swanage. Well, thank you for watching and I hope you enjoyed the walk. It is now time to catch a bus back to Corfe Castle.